Hello, everybody, and welcome to this general office training or presentation. I would call it a town hall meeting. It's a State of the Union kind of meeting where we will talk about what is Flow and what we do. Um, this came about because over the over the years we've been growing, we've been evolving, we've been changing. We didn't know much about what we were about. We didn't know who we were. Flow became a place that probably was some of you or many of you your first place, your first job, your first ever experience in the field, your first job in the United States altogether, your first job ever when it comes to the profession. And we didn't have a lot of guidelines. We didn't have a lot of rules. We didn't even have a handbook until 2 years ago. So we want to make sure that we kind of recalibrate, engage, realign, and ensure that everybody knows kind of what their role is and what they're supposed to do, what they're not supposed to do, so that we're all happy, right? It's a win-win. So that's that. So Junior helped me put this together. Marcos looked at it earlier, and I'm gonna be going through some slides quickly, but I would like to leave 10 to 15 minutes of time to talk at the end. So let me see if I can move. So I got this quote from Hansi that said, "Flow has done in 7 years what it took me 25 years to accomplish." Yeah, that was cool to hear from her. Her firm has been in business for a long time, and we're kicking butt just as good as she is. But yes, and in doing so, we have to understand who we are and where we're going, because we may get lost. We may get lost in the flow zone. So there's a delay with this PowerPoint, guys. I'm sorry. So we must recalibrate and realign our values and our internal structure. Really, this is horrible. This thing's very slow. Like I already clicked next. So understanding the history, it was, Marcos, me and Julio that kind of jumped right into this, and we wanted to we were frustrated with existing status quo in the United States and the way that we saw the business. We wanted a new way of business, and we wanted to empower diversity in architecture. And if this thing is kind of slow, and first we wanted three principals, and Chuetin Wood was gonna be our director of interiors back then. We've always wanted an interior architect involved, so but she couldn't for legal immigration reasons, so she moved into another place. But we started with like very low fees. We started with working for another firms. We were somebody else's pencil, and that's another thing that we got to change, because often we still are somebody else's pencil, and we don't want to be anybody else's pencil. Our involvement with projects have been very limited, and basically giving us handouts. And so, quite frankly, some of the clients don't really respect us because we seem very disposable, and we don't want to do that. So, between 16 and 17, Julio joined, and we were working on a fire station. The first person to take the big risk of being part of this, with a family, a growing family. So we've always been thankful to Julio. And it started changing the way we've been doing business. And he's always been changing the way we do business here at Flow. Marcos joined right after that, 2019 or so, full-time. He's always been, of course, but full-time. And then we started doubling the amount of projects and the amount of clients that we have. We started getting better clients, better projects. But we had a problem. We kept losing talent. We kept losing people anyway. The people we hired was underpaid. We never did unpaid, but we were just close to unpaid because it was really low what we were paying people. So we kept losing people, and but the company was growing. And now Flow has become this company that now moved from the basement to another office, and also has an office in the DR. So we've become the people, the environment. We've become this PowerPoint is driving me crazy, guys. It's very slow. We've become this team right here of, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 people, right? We've been growing on that aspect. And it's become much more intricate. It's become much more delicate to run a business with all of us. And we all basically are treated and respected and loved the same way, no matter where you come from, no matter who you are. We also have a process, and that's part of who we are. Process that we keep refining, that we keep improving, that we keep developing. We are getting more empowered with tools and framework like the design excellence, which is something that's also now part of Flow and who we are and the things that we do. We also are this entity that's licensed and has been getting awards nationally, throughout the United States and now working internationally. We've been improving with the kinds of clients that we have, the Angela Days Cares, the Harvard University, the Don't Tell Auntie, the Boston Hall, Nina Sita Soto Realty, Neighborhood Developers, Nelson Group, Alpha, City Light. We have this very robust clientele that continues to grow over time. And that's part of us too, part of our DNA, but also the giving back to the communities, the things that we believe are important. That's also part of who we are. And it's not Darwin, it's not Marcos, it's Flow as a company or DNA. And I'm glad to see Nicole and Rye and Junior being actively involved in all of these things. But one thing to be very clear is that Flow is also this. We have a structure. We have been developing, and we have developed a structure, right? There's 2 principals of Flow Design Architects. There's 4 directors of Flow Design Architects. There's 1 senior designer at this point. And there's lead designers that have been with us or have developed themselves to a point where, well, they can manage themselves and also others as needed, like Jose Pleites and Natalie Villar. But we also have designers that are up and coming, that are developing themselves. And we do have that structure. That's good to have a hierarchy and understand the hierarchy so that things don't get lost in translation. Okay. So, and all of us have roles, and all of us we all have an offer letter. We all have a job description. I'm not going to go through each one of your job description, but I would like you to ensure that you go back to your job description and understand whether you're doing more or less what you're supposed to do, and if you're meeting those standards, understanding each one of those things. Right? I look at things in the strategic vision part of Flow, but Marcos looks at it as the engine of execution of the work, and how, when the direction is determined, he makes sure that we get to that direction. So, and that's part of kind of how we divided the company. Now we have a director of marketing that will help us represent our company nationally, internally, and outside, but also how we manage all these things. You no longer have to worry about water. You no longer have to worry about buying supplies. You no longer have to worry about any of those items. We have somebody that's taking care of that. Right? So now we have a director of interiors that's managing that and growing that, and that's going to continue to grow. So everybody has, again, a role that's very distinctive. And we just had a really amazing meeting with Patrick, where the feedback was positive of Patrick joining us full-time as a salary member of Flow Design Architects. Now that decision hasn't been finalized, but is in discussions, and it was positive because we are investing in the future of Flow Design Architects as an entity. We're investing in every aspect of Flow, right? So Julio Gutierrez, design director. So final say on design, it's got to go through Julio. He can veto a design move. He can veto a design concept. He can say no, or he can say yes, because he understands our DNA from day one. Okay. So again, those roles and responsibilities, everybody has an offer letter. Everybody knows what they're supposed to do on that end. Very important. This is Flow. If there's no structure, if there's no system, if there's not a handbook, if there's no rules, it's a free for all, and there's no order. And we know what a place without order looks like. It goes bankrupt, it goes boom, bananas, disappears. All right. So as Flow grew and we sought to break away from the corporate structure, we lost some key elements. We treat everybody the same, but we're not the same. Okay. That's one thing that's very important that we understand. We treat everybody with respect, with love and care. But it's important to understand that there's levels of engagement in different things. We have never denied a vacation. Anybody can tell me right now if we've ever denied a vacation, a sick day off, or last minute situation that you may have ever had, either on a personal, financial, or family matter, or professional or educational. We've never, ever, ever denied any request. Okay? But we believe in each and every one of you. Yet we need you to believe and act your part. We really do. So Flow will not grow unless you grow. You know, and this is a personal part, and I'm putting my feelings into this, but I often get the sense that some folks feel Flow is lucky to have them. And yes, that may be true. That may be true. We're lucky to have you. We have an amazing team. We're very happy. But trust me, you're also lucky to have Flow. I am lucky to have Flow. We're all lucky to be here. All of us. So, you know, and that said, we asked in a survey a while back, what do you want from Flow so that you can do your best work, so that you can do the best that you can? We didn't get a lot of responses, but that was your chance to tell us what you wanted. And some people said, we want more time with projects. We want more trainings and education. We want better pay. We want better computers. We want comfy chairs, and we want more site visits. That's all I got. I didn't get anything else. Right? In response to that, check our contracts. We no longer have 4 weeks projects. They've been improved, and they can continue to improve. But why don't you tell us how long you want on your projects? Why don't you start telling us, I want 8 weeks for a project like this. I want 12 weeks for a project like this. I want 20 weeks for a project like this. Tell us. That's the only way we can know. We will never know. We can't guess. More trainings. Well, guess what? We've been doing lunch and learns almost twice and 3 times a month. And we've been doing these meetings at least once a month also. And they're all recorded. Have you watched them? You asked for that? Have you watched them? We've sent you trainings that we could pay for. Have you signed up for them? Have you asked to be a part of them? Have you done it? That's for you to answer. Better pay? Guess what? Everybody at Flow Design Architects within the last 12 months has gotten a raise, 1, 2, or 3 raises. And we went from a little gift card of $100 for being the employee of the quarter to $1,000. Because right now we want to reward performance. Performance is what we want to reward. Okay? So we've been listening. There's an answer to each one of the requests. Better computers will have you delete some files, have you check what's going on. And yes, I did put solid state hard drives on half of all of our computers. There are other half that still need to be changed, but it's sometimes difficult because there's not a wiggle room to do it unless you take a vacation or something. Comfy chairs, guess what? We bought cushions and nobody used. They're sitting somewhere in there. We bought those cushions. Nobody ever used them. I have no idea why we bought them. I don't know why we spend the money. Nobody ever used them. You know, now we have fans when it comes to comfort. We bought the fans. We've been buying tools whenever they're needed. Anything you ask for, we do listen. Takes a little bit of time sometimes, but we do listen. More site visits? Well, ask us and let's schedule them and let's go. I've seen Rai going to site visits. That's really good. I've seen Tim goes to site visits. He even goes on his own time, like quickly just stops by a job site, right? But ask for it and let's make it a thing to do. Hey, this Friday, I will invite everybody for 1 hour little thing. What do you guys think? Let's do it. Schedule it and let's do it. Okay? But ask not what Flow can do for you, but what can you do for Flow? All right, it's time to begin to ask yourself if you're doing the best you can for this company. It really is. Have you realized our senior members are hurting? Have you realized that Marcos gets burned out, that Julio gets burned out, that Darwin gets burned out, that Nicole gets burned out? And yes, that's a lot on the management, on Flow, on the way that we get our projects. But that's also on you, on each one of you as a team. Your peers are hurting and you can help. Guess how you can help? When you make a bad choice, it affects every one of us. Every one of us. When you decide to move 3 hours away from here. Now, that's none of my business, but I'm throwing like random examples, right? When you decide, let's just throw one out there. You went out drinking on a Sunday. What the heck? Now Monday meeting is delayed. Now everybody's stressed. Now nobody gets their job done. Now we're all screwed. When you make a bad choice, and I'm not saying that anybody, I'm not picking anybody, but I'm saying every choice you make every single day affects everyone around you. It does. Every single choice you make. So I've made my own bad choices personally. Most of it comes out on Marcos and some of it comes out on Julio and Nicole, for instance. But I'm changing that stuff. That's why I'm doing this meeting. I'm the first one that's got to look at himself and fix it. Okay? So we want to empower you, but we do not want to do your work. I do not, when you hear me say, I will take care of it for something that you were supposed to do, feel bad because you were supposed to do it. When you see that Julio takes over your project, or Tim takes over your project, or Jose takes over your project, feel bad because you should learn how to do it. Okay? Because you put in some work on somebody else, and that screws their own timelines, and that screws their own happiness, and that screws the entire company altogether. If you don't know how to do it, the trainings are in place, the meetings are in place, the systems are in place. We got to get it done. Finish what you start. Finish what you start. Costs are changing. Our clients demand more. Inspectors demand more. The profession demands more. We need to give more. But you also gain more, right? More reward, more payments, more increases. You get more. And we are the company that's now getting to the point where, I think we're probably 1.5 to 2 years away from being able to pay exactly what Boston probably could pay. I can tell you by the way we've started and where we're at right now. So there's not going to be competition with us. Our fees and timelines need to be improved, but to do so, we need to improve internally. Okay? So how can you get what you want? Well, let's look at one thing. If you want to get from a designer to a lead designer to a director to a principal, look at the different symbols next to the names of the people that are here and their accreditations and their years of experience. You can't make more by being the same person, right? So Nicole didn't just get promoted to director of interiors because she's, an amazing person. She's got qualifications. Patrick is not becoming or lead surveying guy. He's getting licensed as a surveyor. He has a bachelor's of design studies. Julio isn't the most handsome man, and that's why he's a director of design. He is grinding. He's been grinding for 15 plus years and knows a lot about design and cares. He's got a bachelor's of architecture, right? So it wasn't just a pretty face or the way we are, or, sitting at the same spot for the same time forever doing the same things will not get you to the next level. It's just not going to happen. And we're never going to grow to the next level unless you get to the next level. So we have the Angels, the Ronnie, the Joses, the Jomelis, the Rice that will continue to go up as they grow within their professions. Okay? Be mindful of the office environment and follow our office handbook. Have you read it? There's a video version. Very, very important. I get asked like, oh, when can I do X? When can I do Y? I'm like, go to the handbook. I don't know the rules. I don't know any of that stuff. Do you think I'm going to memorize it? No. Check it out. Be mindful of our office hours as much as possible. We do have to be here generally between 9 and 5:30. We have to answer calls. We have to answer our phones. But hey, have I ever asked anybody to come to the office on a Saturday or a Sunday? Unless there's an emergency or a situation, which I don't think I've ever happened. No, I respect your private times. I'm not texting you after hours as much as possible. So I need you to be a bold promoter of the office, not a self-promoter, which is a problem too. When you just say me, I did, I am, you're undermining the entire Flow institution. There's no Darwin, or Marcos. It's Flow. And that I learned a lot from Julio Gutierrez. That's a Flow project. It's Flow. It's us. It's all of us. Okay? If the work goes well, is your work. If the work goes bad, is Darwin and Marcos's work or Julio's work or Nicole's work? No. That's not cool. We are a team. If the work goes well, it's our work. And if the work goes bad, it's our work. And we all shall be wary when that happens. Okay? Now, I said to end on a positive note, but it's not a positive note. I'm going to continue going. But to end on a positive note, yes, we are way better now than a couple years ago. Way better. Yes, we are moving in the right direction. And yes, right now, for sure, we have the very best team we've ever had. That's for sure. That's a fact. We cannot get too comfortable, though. We really can't. So some key action items I would want you guys to know. And I'm almost ending, so I'll be able to give you the 20 minutes to talk. Read and watch the Office Manual Handbook. Ask your peers how you can make their days better and easier. Ask your principals what else you can do to help. Appreciate and care for this amazing office by cleaning, dusting, promoting, educating, and being an active steward of the flow mission. Like, really care about this stuff. Read and study. There are lots of books here that we have. There's a lot of videos and trainings. Prepare yourself, educate yourself, edify yourself. Okay? For Flow to be the place we love, it has to work for everyone. I personally sometimes feel it works better for the rest, and it doesn't really work that well for some, because all the heavy loads falls on a few. Most of the heavy load falls on a few, and that is not right. It's not. If a few will do all the work, then maybe we should just have a few, and then you should get concerned when I say that word. If a few is doing 90% of the work, what's going on? What's going on? All right? Don't want to ever go to that place. We've never gone to that place. We've been solid as a company. We never want to go to that place, but it's time to question that. Quick example, I just randomly picked a random time, July 2023, we had 11 people on our staff on payroll. July 2024, we have 17 people on our staff on payroll. That's 42% increase on our staff. Do you think we have increased our profits by 42% as a company? Do you think that's the case? Our profits need to go up, and they will continue to go up no matter what, because we have been known and growing as a company, or our reach is bigger. So we'll always have to go up 10%, 15% as a company. But like, you know, never mind 42% for with 17 more people. Did we get 42% more revenues in July 2024? The answer is with that increasing, we were going to increase anyway, but not. We went up by 28%. But we also increased our salaries from July to now 10, 15% across the board. So we are not growing. And this is one point that Marcos always tells me, because I'm probably one of the few people, the only people here that's always wanted to be a bold, big, robust company. And this is proving me wrong. More people does not mean more profits, does not mean better projects, does not mean more work, better work. More people means more headaches. It means more days off. It means more sick times. It means more a lot of other things. And I am not pro that side. I don't like that. I really don't. I want to believe that more people, it means more diversity. It means more inclusion. It means more opportunities. It means more growth across the board. It is your job to prove me. I'm a rooter. I'm an underdog. I believe in all of you to say, yes, we increase our staff member by 42%. We will increase our profits by 50%. We will get the jobs done faster and better. We are improving ourselves as individuals. We're doing better work as individuals. Everyone here should be an employee of the quarter candidate. It should be hard for me to make a choice. Guess what? I didn't even want to vote, because there's only 2 or 3 people that always do the great job, and there are others that aren't doing that job. Every one of you should make it very difficult for me to vote and for people to vote. There wasn't even a tie, because people didn't even want to be voting around. There was like a triple tie. Every one of you should be an employee of the quarter candidate. Every one of you. And it's only on you to get that way. It's not me. I'm unbiased. The numbers don't lie. Amount of projects, amount of client satisfaction, amount of skills you provide, the environment that you bring. It's just a fact. It's not like nitpicking. I love all of you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. We love you. So that's it. That's as far as I go with the presentation. I want to open it all up to you, and I want to hear your comments, and we have plenty of time. We have over 15 minutes to talk. Well, 25 minutes. Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can.
Well, I heard you mention our meeting, so I just want to chime in. I'm looking forward to working with everyone a lot more. Hopefully the staff keeps growing and you prove Darwin wrong. Um, I love this company, and that's really all I have to say right now. I'm going to continue to keep growing myself. I want everyone to get more focused on things I care about, obviously the lead, sustainability, the landscape, but I want to kind of create a culture around sustainability there. And hopefully when I, get some office hours and start working in the office with you guys, we can, develop our skills together. Um, yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Patrick. Means a lot.
Yeah, I do want to jump in, guys, to, we put together and Darwin, thank you for taking lead to with Junior putting this presentation. Guys, I just do want to mention, we're trying to create a company that, it's better for all of us. I do agree. It's funny that Darwin mentioned about the amount of people. I always mention I never thought Flow was gonna grow this much, and I always mention that to Darwin. And but now that we are where we are, we just want to make sure that we're all doing our part. You can kind of see how crazy the days go and every week, but we're working at growing as a company, and we just want to make sure that all of us grow together, in many different ways. So just do your part, keep improving every day, and let's keep growing. I don't know who want to jump in.
Well, I wonder if we could create a resource, or have some kind of folder that has all the different certificates and licensures that Flow as a company will want everyone to get. So right now, some people might not know what they want to add to the end of their names. They might not want to get LEED certified, but they might be interested in something else. And I wonder if Flow, Darwin or Marcos, Julio, whoever has an idea of what they want to see different people get. Um, yeah, just a question for you guys.
Yeah, honestly, Patrick, but like I think that it should be a question for all of us in terms of like, what those people want at the end of the day. Because for example, like I became a notary, you know, 6 years ago, and I never
Mm.
thought, that all of us will benefit. A lot of people that I would not even imagine benefited from that. And it's something that I want to ask the team, like, where do you see yourself, guys? Like, do you see yourself as an architect? Like, is that the idea? And see if Flow can help you and guide you to get to that point. Um, are you guys there?
No, I want to jump in. Can I jump in? I don't know if anybody else was gonna jump in.
Go for it.
Beautiful. So, Dharma, can you mute? All right, thank you. So for me, I think it's appropriate for me to jump in because I've been here for so long. I've been here for almost 5 years now, and me being here for that long, of course, Darwin and Marcos have seen my ups and downs. I have, struggled a little bit to understand where I wanted to be and how far I want to go. But thanks to you guys really gave me a real path, a real vision to my future, which is why Was able to get my CSL, which is why, you know, I grind so much and so hard for Flow. Uh, you know, me being here for 5 years isn't enough to prove that, you know, I love this company and I want to see it grow. I don't know what will, you know. I put in tons of hours, tons of work, and ton of help to make sure that we do grow. And I'm always asking Marcus and Darwin, especially, that I don't care how much I messed up, how bad I messed up, or if I didn't mess up, to let me know where I messed up, how I messed up, so I understand where I need to grow and how I need to do what it is that I did wrong correctly to make sure it doesn't keep on happening. And I did mention to them before that maybe if there was a list for not just me, but maybe for, you know, individuals who you think should grow and how they should grow and flow. For example, like, oh, Jose isn't doing the existing conditions correct. Maybe he needs to work on that, or maybe Jose needs further help on designing. Maybe his design isn't that well. Just so us as individuals have more of a pinpoint on what we have to be focusing on, just because sometimes we have so much on our plate, we get a little bit lost and confused on you know, how much we should be pushing on certain things. Maybe we're pushing too much on one thing and not putting enough push on another. So, you know, just something like that, saying, just maybe just a list saying, hey, Jose, you need to focus more on this, less of this, or maybe you don't know much of this, but you should know a little more on that. Just to maybe help us push a little further. I hope that little spiel helped.
I probably would want to jump right in on Jose's comment. First and foremost, I mean, it's undeniable that our principals and the leadership team are very involved in our personal growth as designers in this profession, and also just in general as people. You know, you have people like Marcus who are really invested in the well-being and each and every one of us. So to Jose's point, I think it's great to have the overall comments on what is needed, what is lacking of us as employees, and you know, across the board. I think personalized comments would help us know and grow better, because as much as I'm for the bringing the issue in a meeting holistically, which is good to know. But if there can be like individual meetings where we get a proper review on what works, what doesn't work. And I know we have reviews once in a year, yes, but if anything is noted that needs to be improved, we don't necessarily need to, you know, wait a year, but that can be communicated. And also to on one of the slides where you were talking about finish what you start. Yes, designers, employees, and everyone in the office should be able to finish what we start. But Darwin, I wanted you to kind of speak or expound a little bit on finishing what you start, our role as employees, and how the clients can play into that, because sometimes we may not be able to finish what we start because of factors that are beyond our control.
So that's a good point. I don't mean the finish where you start. If there is a situation that needs to be mitigated, it needs to be mitigated. For instance, I started projects with Marky Lauren, which everybody know, or nice friend, and I had to delegate that project to Marcos's side because contractually as a company we had to finish it, but the relationship got hostile. Interesting word today. I thought about that word, hostile. I never want that relationship to get to a point where it gets disrespectful or hostile between you and a client, or in any way, shape, or form. And there are all kinds of ways that a client or an individual may break some ground rules. You know, and there's been clients, you know, Julio himself and me, and even Marcos. Actually, I think a lot of us have had some situation where there's a client that crosses a line with us, and we never work with that client again. We do contractually want to wrap it up and get it done, but there. So that said, it doesn't apply to that situation. It doesn't apply to a situation where someone is racist against you. It doesn't apply in a situation where someone outright just bluntly disrespectful, like really just disrespect who you are, what you do, and what you bring into the table. There are people out there that sadly we have bumped into, somehow have an aura of gods, and that nobody can ever wear like they're slaves. Like, you never want to feel that way with any client. You never want to feel pressed to do something that's illegal, that's wrong either, right? So if there's something nefarious that's happening, you walk away and you report it to me and Marcos, and we'll mitigate it and we'll terminate the project. We have contracts for that. So there is a line on that end. But it's not because you're unable to finish it because you lack the skills, lack the consistency, lack the drive to finish it. That's because you feel like it. That's a different story. I don't want anything because I feel like it, because I feel unable, then it means you have to work on those skills to get to that level. So those are completely different directions. Does it make sense, everybody?
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I just wanted you to a little bit for it to come from you to clarify that. And I think Flow has done a pretty good job at covering and securing its employees when it comes to external conflict and stuff. But then as an employee of the company, it is upon us to be responsible in the projects that we have and ensure that they are completed to the latter. Thank you.
I just want to say one last thing, just because I'm a visual learner and we're talking about growing as individuals and as a company. I would love to see a spreadsheet where we have all our names and the different licensures and different, certificates that we're going for in the now or in the future. And this is something that we could look at and say, oh, hey, I'm learning Passive House. Someone else wants to do Passive House. We can do a lunch and learn together. And then maybe other people will join. So we kind of grow as a company doing these like lunch and learns. That might be helpful just to get people kind of excited and working together and, growing together and learning together. And then, someone might learn about a certificate or something that, an HERS, I don't know what it's called, but these various programs and certificates that we should be going for, we can do together. I'd like to see something like that.
That's a good point. So we recently did a poll, and the poll was basically focused on what of these 10 canons people wanted to focus on. I don't think people have filled it out, but like out of the framework of design excellence, we're going to look for overlapping interests, and we're going to team people up. That's actually part of the strategy that I'm working on when it comes to that. But, so that way we know what the affinities are. From there, then we can are able to also say, okay, Patrick is focused on design for ecosystems. Nicole is focused on design for ecosystems. What programs are there and trainings are there that they both could do, or what, certifications are there. So that's very good. And this is all part of that plan, Patrick. I'm glad that you mentioned it.
Okay.
Laying out all of the degrees of everybody. Actually, that was titled How You Grow, How You Get Promoted at Flow Design Architects, to be honest, too. It was the title of that because I want to make sure that people do get those certifications. We just changed the name, but that's the goal. So once we get that survey done, surveys are critical for us. You can't get what you didn't ask for. So if people don't fill out the surveys, we're not going to be able to get them. And now, I always go to the AI conference and I always ask all the firms, how do you get people to do things? And they're like, well, they're not engaged. The answers I get are very sad. They're not engaged. They don't care about your institution. They don't care. I'm like, what? I'm gonna cry. It's like they don't fill out the polls, they don't fill out all that stuff. They don't care. It's like I don't even get them to go to a summer outing event. It's like, I get very, very disappointed. I really get very, very disappointed. So, but I don't think that way. But I'm like, okay, so that's it. Fill out those polls, and when you get those polls, I'll be able to those surveys. I'll be able to know what people are interested in and their feedback, and we'll be able to implement those things. I want to hear from Julio.
I have nothing to say. We're good.
Because Julio has been very instrumental in everything. Even me putting together this, we've been talking about all of these things. We've been talking about all these subjects. So it's been very, very instrumental on getting this stuff. Anybody else?
I want to make a comment on timing.
Is that right? I can't hear you well. Can you put the microphone closer?
Yes, it's me. Sorry. Can you hear me? Yes, just a comment on timing. Like, I think there was a part where you mentioned in the training about some people ask more time with the projects. At least in my case, that doesn't necessarily mean time drafting. I just wanted to bring up that there's so much that happened into the project timeline that is not related completely with drafting. Like, sometimes we're driving to a site and just driving to the site could be 3 hours, 2 hours. So sometimes other projects ask 100 questions and we have to completely leave what we're doing because it's something so important that other project has something like an emergency, for example. So I just want to mention that it's not drafting time. There's so much that happen in between. And somebody new has questions. Sometimes you partner us with other people to help them with something that they haven't experienced, if they're new, if they're an intern. So there's a lot more things that happen in between. So I just wanted to bring that up, that should be accounted. And sometimes you cannot plan it. It's just part of the work there. Just a comment on that.
That's a good point. So what you're saying is add a contingency, because now we've done so many projects in the last couple of years that those projects continue to come back. And it's not just the projects that you have on your list. It's also the projects that you already completed that may also come back that need to be also allotted within the planning of the timing, right? Other things, because projects have a long lifetime from when they hire us to when they finish building them. And by the end of that, there's a lot of inspectors reviews, planning, zoning, and a lot of things. So it's like add a percentage of time that we should add a percentage of time to that as we are assigning projects.
Correct. Yeah, some things are unpredictable. Just to put an example, I went to a site visit. The client didn't ask. That was just me going to check the projects. We wanted to see things that we do. I was just there looking. The owner was there. The builder was there. They're asking questions just in general. And the client asked for something new. Nothing was wrong, something new. So I started measuring out of nowhere. So something that could have been, it was an hour and a half driving back and forth, so total 3 hours. Then should have been an hour just looking, talking to the clients, whatever. It became almost an hour and 40 minutes being on site. But that was unpredictable. I was already there. They need something new. Yes, it's more profit for us because we're going to charge him for additional service. But that's just my comment about timing, how it can be unpredictable. And it's not just drafting necessarily all the time.
To that particular point, we have to all start creating ways of delaying a response on people. That said, for instance, you measuring that, it does save time because you don't have to do another additional trip. So there's a lot of mindset things that go, right? Planning in your head. You're like, okay, I'm already here. The client already knows what they want. But you got to look at your clock and you look at the schedule and say, Mr. Perez, whatever the name, I'm just throwing one. That all sounds great. I can record you telling me a little bit and I can, quickly look at it. But one, that still has to become a change order and be approved by the client with Marco. So you wouldn't know that part. So you shouldn't be measuring it because you haven't been approved. Now, I'm not pinning on you. I'm just saying, how do you manage that situation? So unfortunately, I'm going to have to come back and it's going to be an additional service. This was a courtesy visit unrelated to that. I appreciate you telling me that, and I'm really looking forward to working with you on that. But I do have to run it by Marcos and Darwin when I get to the office, and I have another meeting coming up. Listen, I'm not telling you to lie, but you did plan to be there for just X amount of time, and it's going to become more. So you can say, I have to be back at the office now, and I won't have the time. So clients will always put you in situations like this where they're like tiny little things. It seems very simple, and you feel like, yeah, it's not a problem. You have to make a judgment call. But what I've noticed is that if we start accepting all of the calls that the clients do and all of the emails that they have and all of the requests that they have, we'll never be able to serve any other client, and we're gonna get in trouble. I would rather tell the clients, let's schedule a meeting for another day and organize it and plan it. Tell Marcos about it and schedule it the proper way. Make sure that they agree to the fee that we believe is gonna be, and manage it like that. Like, there are things that we have to start elongated. What do you think? That companies now have machines answering the phones. To get to a person, you got to type 0 like 2,000 times because they're delaying the process of getting the client from you to a person. So we have to start delaying. We're a limited amount of individuals at the office. We have to delay the amount of time and moments that a client gets to be with you. That's one thing I want to point out too. It is a privilege for them to work with us. That's for sure. So we have to make sure with the always elongated a little bit. Hey, there are all the things that we may be able to implement. Hours of email responses. Hey, we answer emails within 24 hours. If I don't answer within the 24 hours, you can call me, right? And have that pre-written email. Not giving the instant answers to the instant clients. We're no longer the instant company out of the basement anymore. So we have to make sure that we manage that stuff. So let's all of us get a mindset of, hey, that's gonna take time. I'm actually throwing timelines of 3 weeks to things that take a day to do. Because it doesn't matter that it takes a day to do. I know there's going to be another 1,000 other requests from there to here from other clients. So we can't plan like that. Does that help? Right?
Yeah.
I have a question, but this is like a general administration question. Like, how many people you need to have a little managers teams? Did anybody knows? I mean, because you said like that we are 17.
So the moment, well, count all of the people that you have there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. But on the payroll, I was counting any consultants that we had there. So Alberto Tomas is there. So I counted 17.
Okay.
I counted what we ran at that particular time, at that particular day, and we had all those people. Yeah. So that's a good question. I was gonna bring it up to the
Yes. Sometimes, I mean, if you're saying like 15, I don't know when you really need a manager or somebody checking some things like not everybody can check. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know when.
Yeah. I'm just saying, how many people can, let's say, Marcos effectively manage under him before he gets another project manager that will have to manage that other team, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Yeah, because that all depends on the kind of principal and the kind of manager too. There are people that may be able to manage 10.
Yeah,
There are others that may be able to manage only 3. So that's a good. There's no
it's a
one
question,
size.
I don't
There's
know.
not a one size fits all. But yeah, like for instance, I think the amount of people that we have right now is as much as I can personally manage, right, Marcos? You would say that? I don't know if Marcos is here. Yeah, he left. But that's, I think he left. That's about the amount of people. Like I can't. So whatever we are right now, I can't manage more. We need another principal to start managing more people, or another project manager to be managing more people. I wouldn't be able to do. Now I'm able to do more because now I don't have to do junior's role because I was also doing admin and like that side. So I can focus more on the person. I can ask I have 51 other firms I can ask right now.
Yeah, it was just a question because there's certain number of people that this like you need checking that, no? Like because if you are like I'm saying 2 principals and try to manage 17, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it means each one of them has managing 8 or so, right? 8.5 people, 9 people. It also depends on the style of the company, because the way that we manage our projects.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, I know everybody micromanage their own projects, but then there's one moment like somebody has to say, "Hey, don't take too much priority in this. Move to this." You know.
Yeah, it's
I don't
different.
know.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's different with you. For instance, you yourself do that with your projects. I see you doing priorities, understanding what needs to go out, what doesn't. But what you're saying is, not everybody does that the same way.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like if somebody's looking like the finances and it's like this project is not really paying us too much, move to this one now or finish this one first because this one is getting stuck in this. And sometimes we don't get that info. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's because you are sitting next to me, but if somebody is sitting in the end of the table and it's like in my list I have
For example, you have an understanding of the projects that we're dealing with and the clients, and like you have the in-depth details of those meetings, right? We might choose to spend a lot of time on a project that is not quite profitable, when we would be redirecting our energy on something that, let's say, could get us paid faster or has better results or better recognition in some extent. So I think that's what he's pointing towards, like someone who knows those projects that way and is able to shift attention, like, hey, probably spend more time on this rather than this and then get back to this later.
That's a good point. Junior, can you speak to that? We've been trying to develop a Gantt chart system where we're going to be putting all of our projects and their timelines into a Gantt chart, and we're able to see where they are at every given moment, each one of them. So Junior was working on that for his internal use, but then I thought, well, why don't we do that literally as a live board by person, so that we know, because he knows when a project is late, because I told him when is the contract was signed, right? So we're able to know where they're at, so maybe that starts helping, because we have clarity into that project is supposed to be 6 weeks. What is it? What's holding it back? And we can put a comment. It's holding it back because of X, Y, and Z, right? So that way we're able to mitigate it. Because you're right, we don't want people to be like, I got nothing to do, or I'm working on the wrong project, or Junior, can you speak to that a little bit? Maybe you have some ideas on that end.
I mean, for management purposes, we're just trying to come up with a step-by-step process for deliverance into every project, so we can keep track what step is the project on at the time. So we are working on it, and yeah, we have to talk about it, and then we're gonna share it with all of you, so we can all start doing that follow-through process.
So now another thing that's very important, and I want you guys all to use on your timesheets, make sure to put the time for step. For instance, step 1, existing conditions. Like put like time. I want all of you to start putting time by step, because me, Julio, and Marcos are working on the finances of the company and how to charge. We really need to know how long it actually does take someone to do something, and we're not able to do it per project. So you got to make sure that you got the project name and number on the timesheet, and you put define step 1, envision step 2, design step 3, construction documents step 4. you know, and if there is 5, well, maybe we create another code, because I am able to grab everybody's timesheet and upload it into ChatGPT literally and get what, if everybody's using the same terms. If people use different terms, then I'm not able, because I will able to say, ask across the board as a company, how long is it taking people to do step 3, let's say, or step 1, let's say, right? It varies by project, but we were able to know, because now we need to figure out how to charge our projects. As you saw, basically we're diminishing our profits right now, like from last year to this year, because we technically grew by 26%, but we increased our salaries by like 15%. So we're getting really close to margins, and margins means we're close to losing, right? So the moment you start doing a house for $10,000 that costs you $15,000 to do, I'm giving the client $5,000 and I'm paying everybody for those $5,000. So that's very strong, and that's what I'm saying that Julio is helping us think about as a company. And Marcos and I are being strategic about it. And now putting your timesheets by the step that you're doing is important. And even if you're doing admin work, just put admin work to make sure that with those codes, that's the only way we can come up with fees. Fees are based on how much does it cost me to do something? How much profit do I want to make? What's the overhead on the company for lights and electricity, and what's the multiplier? So whatever your rate is, everybody has a multiplier. That's they teach that at the school. If you didn't know it, I'll have to teach it to people. But there's a multiplier for each one of them where we shouldn't lose. When the multipliers start getting above 4, 4.5, 5, impossible to compete. We are way too out of the price of the work. If our profit multiplier is 2, 2.5, we're barely breaking even. So most people have 3.5, 3, 3.5 as a multiplier. So how much does it cost me? If I buy this thing for $1, I'm gonna sell it for $1.50, but I can't sell it for $1.50 because the 50 cents don't cover the cost of transaction and movement. So I gotta sell it for $2. So I'm making about 50 cents profit, and the other 50 cents pay for the transaction, and the $1 pays for the item itself. You can never buy the item for $1 and sell it for 50 cents. You will be losing twice. In fact, you're not just losing 50 cents, you're actually losing $1 if you sell it like that, because you're losing in the transaction process. There's a lot of loss. Does that generally make sense? So that ties into, we need all the codes on the timesheets to be consistent so that we're able to track all the projects and timelines of the projects, so that we're able to predict how long they actually will take. And then I'm going to ask ChatGPT to break it down by city, municipality, and project type. So I'm able to say a contract document in Somerville takes 20 weeks, right? From beginning to end. A project like Nahant Street will take 2 years from beginning to end. But we have to do our timesheets. And that's another thing I was thinking today, that people should begin filling out their timesheets every day at the end of the day, or have a notepad that you start working on this, or maybe on your own project list, you can start putting how much time you predict you're going to spend, how much time you actually spend on the day, you know? I am horrible estimating that time. I thought Julio was going to take 2 hours to do something for Pleasant, 20 Pleasant. It took half a day because he had 20 meetings that day. It took a full day. He had 5 meetings, right?
I think like it's important, like even if you want like the people put the real amount of time that spend in each project, the people don't feel scared to say, hey, I really spent 3 hours on this, or I really spent 3 weeks on this. Because if it's not the true, we will never know how much really time we spend in each project.
No, the hope is that nobody ever lies on the timesheet, though.
No, yeah, but I'm saying
we're not judging people for taking long. In fact, the fact that they tell us that they take, like for instance, you know, a project that you can do, let's say, a project in 3 days. That project may take a month to do. I'm just throwing an example. You're a senior, you understand things. So the cost of that project for you is different than the cost of that project for Rai. So that's it. Rai shouldn't feel bad that she takes a month to do the same project that Julio takes 3 days to do, because we're charging it differently. We're going to bill it differently. So people do need to put the real time that's taking them on the timesheet. They really need to make sure what is it that it really took you to do that project. Honestly, because we need to know when we're losing, so we can do damage control. We really don't. We have a big idea, me and Marcos, on when we're losing. We have a big general idea. We only investigate it after we have that idea that we may be losing. But we should be able to know at all times that all projects are profitable or not profitable, and if they're on time or not on time. We need to make sure that that's that. So the timesheets need to be filled out correctly every time, accurately.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like the people don't feel scared to say, well, I already took 3 weeks and it is what I took, that's it. Because if you start saying like, yeah, it took me 3 weeks, but I did it in a week. That's not true.
Exactly. I mean, everybody understands that. So putting the timesheets correctly in the projects and the amount of real hours I took you, that will be super amazing. I know we capped the salary people at 40 hours. So if you put more, maybe there is a section where you put that extra hours so that we can see them, because we do cap people at 40 hours. People shouldn't work more than 40 hours. So that will be important to track it. With that, this presentation showed me a couple of things. Again, we are on the right track and things are getting really more clear and more granular. But like the missing pieces is timeline, budgets, right? What certifications we want versus what certifications are out there, contingency on times, how much more time it will take, right? Areas of improvement and feedback and checkups, personal checkups. So this is really good. Really good. So I may do a follow-up survey because not everybody likes talking like Darwin. So I may do a follow-up survey where people fill out how you felt about this survey and tell us any suggestions you have for the future. And any other aspect of this presentation that you think we should address, right? That may require its own presentation, Okay? Does that make sense? Any minor or last minute comments? Natasha Quintal, I'm also wondering if she's got any feedback for us from an outside perspective.
I do, but I don't know if it would be, I don't know how beneficial it would be considering that I've only been here for a short amount of time and I don't know how long things have been going like prior to me coming in. Like I came in fresh off the start and the only experience and feedback I can give is what has affected me and what I have contributed to the office.
Well,
So.
I pointed you. I single-handedly picked you for a reason right now. So yeah, your feedback is important.
I guess then in terms of like from an intern perspective, like going forth, if you like next summer go for like an intern or anything like that, I do understand that a lot of the trainings and everything are very beneficial. I've watched pretty much all of them just because I'm fresh new to the company. Like I have to learn everything in such a short amount of time. However, I do wish that with some of the stuff that I have been given and assigned did have a little bit more structure to it. One example I can give is like being told to do a permit set. Never have I ever done a permit set before. So being told to just do a permit set and then just given an example to look at is very hard to do because not only do I not know exactly what needs to be included with a permit set, but I also don't fully know how to do it. And granted, I don't want to take away from anybody's work time, but to be given a task and either not have it completed in full and then have somebody to pick it up after, I feel like that is more detrimental to anybody than, vice versa.
So there's two solutions, either not giving you a permit set or saying, for this entire internship, we will be training you into how to do a permit set one by one from beginning to end. So that way there's no gaps in between. Maybe there's another in between solution, but got it. I think all of us have been thrown onto things that we didn't know how to do, that we have had to learn. But also you saying you could also say, I don't know if I'm ready to do something like this. I'm going to need extra help. Being self-aware and telling us, that's a good way. We do tend to just really throw people to swim with the sharks. It's been a way that we've noticed people do grow a lot. We just can't be too harsh after the mistakes come back. We can't be too harsh. We just want you to do your best. Like with your work, we all know that somebody else gonna eventually have to refine it. So we are aware of that. So don't feel bad if you can't complete it perfectly. just feel proud of how far you got it. And then if it was a permanent position, trust me, it will be slightly different. I do get to sit down with people more when they're permanent. Like I sat down with Natalie a lot at the very beginning, a lot. So we try to do that. This is good, very good. All right, I think it's time to eat. I'm gonna do the survey and send it over to you guys, and you guys can tell us all you think. Okay? Thank you guys for doing that. Appreciate it. Let's keep flowing. Bye.